Okay, I got about 2 gallons of water in here. I'm just going to put it along this floor and see what happens. See where this water flows. This is mimicking a huge, huge rainstorm. A very huge rainstorm. Granted, there's probably never going to be this much water on it. Now it's designed hoping for the water to flow that way. It's draining out of those holes right now. You know, when the water gets up like this, see the stuff on the top? It's flowing out right now. You can see those little things. Man, it sure takes a while, doesn't it? It's flowing. It's flowing out. I can hear it. See it coming out of those holes. Quite a few different spots. I really actually thought the water would flow faster than that, but it's not. But see, it's all sloping downhill, and I ran my level on everything. The level does not lie, but it looks like it's going to take a while. We're going to let that go a while, and I'm gonna imagine that there's probably going to be a little bit still left over here in the corner. And see, if I had the Tyvek down here on the floor, guess what's going to happen? Same thing, right? The water's going to just keep going that way for most of it to go out. Any last little bits that's going to be there should sit there for a couple days. You saw that it didn't leak through here, right? And so it'll probably sit there for a while, and it should dry up. It should sit there on the top, and it should dry up before the next rain or anything like that. Granted, if there's snow on this, I'm gonna have to shovel off most of the snow. I don't want to leave 2 feet of snow on here and let it naturally leak through here. I mean, if I do, the water should flow out, right? It should flow out. Let's see, I think it's probably still dripping. Still dripping out of there. So if it were to rain really super hard, the water would just continue to puddle in here, and the water would just keep going out until it got low enough to where there's hardly anything left. See, it's still moving. See that little thing on top? That little piece of sawdust. It's moving over to that hole. There it goes. There it went. But it looks like there's going to be some standing water over here. Well, hey, I did the best I could with what was here on the floor. They had it sloping. If I were to put my level on here from one end to the other, it still is sloping downhill. But it's just going to take, it just takes a little time to get out through the holes. Plus, when you put your flashing on there, that raises up the end. So what does that tell you? You're going to slope a floor like this, a deck, and you're going to put concrete pavers on here, and you're not going to put a concrete base on here. You're not going to put grout on here or anything like that. You're going to do it just like this and let the water flow underneath. You better put a good amount of slope on there. I don't know what the slope is here, 1/8 of an inch to a foot, 3/16, maybe a, I don't think it's a quarter. No, it's not a 1/4 inch, but maybe you should put more than what they've got here on this floor. Like I say, I don't know what it is, what the building standard is, but you might want to go overboard on that amount just a little bit to allow everything to come off of here. But see, there's no water over on this area now, hardly at all. See, here's, and it's kind of found its way like that. This over here was designed to go down that way too, but the way that they did that, whoever built these concrete columns, when they put the trim on, the stucco trim, they didn't level it, and that's at an angle, and there was only so high it could slope. And initially they had it all sloping to go out down off over this way, and I wanted to raise that up because I didn't want it to go down on the steps, because that's what happened before. Went down over here, and this step, if you remember, that was all corroded, that whole thing. So I wanted to lift that section of the floor up and float it down this way, and I could only go up so high because this stucco trim is too low. This should have been up higher. Then I could have done something. You put a level on there, it's going down the wrong direction. There's plenty of height right here, and I could have raised it. Had that been level, I could have raised the floor up further. As it was, this whole floor here, I had to, what did I do? I had to lower it down. I had to lower it down a little bit in order to make this the high end as I sloped the floor down. Then at this point, I wanted the floor to slope even more to go down. That's why I kind of built this area up here. I should have built it up. I should have floated it out way out here, but I couldn't raise this up, or else then it would puddle over here. So it was a happy medium over here as it was, and that's why there's a little standing water here. Look at that. That doesn't make me very happy. That does not make me very happy. There's nothing I can do about that. Nothing at all. See that? It's just the way of the beast. Now it's not going to get any deeper than that, because if it rained, once it raises up, then it's low enough at the back to go out. But for right here, there's always going to be a little bit of water right here, but it's not very much underneath. It'll be underneath those tiles. It's not that much, and that's another reason why I put like 4 coats of this flooring material down, because I didn't ever want it to fail, and that's why I decided I wanted to put the Tyvek on there. So I put the Tyvek here. The Tyvek is going to prevent the water for who knows how long You know, had I have done that test, had I have left that there and put water on it and left it there for a week, let's say, I'm going to imagine and say that that water still would have been on top of that, wouldn't you? I think it would be. Which means I put this Tyvek on here, that water, even though there's a little bit of standing water here, about 1/8 of an inch, even though there's a little bit there, the Tyvek, it'll be on top of the Tyvek paper. And I'm hoping that this water will dry up, you know, after a week or two, in between storms, let's say, and it won't actually get onto this floor. If it does get onto this floor and leak through the Tyvek, then I'm hoping that it doesn't fail after 2 or 3 weeks of this water being right directly on here. You know, if this was on a roof, there's no way roofs, flat commercial roofs, are perfectly flat and sloping. You know, you're always going to get certain areas like this, and I'm sure they had that in mind when they made this type of roof product, because you're supposed to just put this on roofs. So if you get a little low spot like that, then it's designed for it to dry. And see, with the Tyvek paper on there, all the areas around the floor, it'll breathe a little bit, and it should throw out a little bit more air between that bottom layer and the Tyvek paper, and help this water dry. That's my thought. I don't know if it's going to work that way or not, but I'm sticking to my hypothesis. And so now it's all about, hey, no matter what I do, see, if I were to float this anymore, so I'm trying to convince myself I'm done with this floor. By talking, it helps me. So thanks for listening. If I were to try to build this up a little bit more to angle it out, I build this up, then I think the water's gonna puddle up over here. Because I tried to make it this the high point, slope down to here, and I had to, in order to do that, I had to lower the 2x6 rail along there down. This is the actual wall height right here. See how it steps down? I had to lower that 2x6 down over that way in order to get this to be lower than that point. Then that's higher than that. That's why I had to float this down. And I was thinking at this point, I could float the floor, which I did, this direction, and have this actually lower or flat from this point. Does that make sense? And that was very difficult. I think it's, obviously it was impossible to do, because I still have some standing water here. Always going to have standing water there. See, I'm never going to have standing water over here, because I didn't have that issue over here. This side is up higher, and I floated it down to here, and then from this point I floated it down that way at an angle. And so this, any water that's here comes this direction, and then it flows out that way. This is all dry already. See? And in a perfect world, this corner would have done the same thing had they have built the floor properly before. So had I have been the one to build this whole thing, and I would have done that column exactly the same way as that column of the floor, I wouldn't have that standing water issue. But hey, I guess it is what it is. I just didn't want that water to be flowing out of that, because I would have had all the water from this floor, well, a part of it, from this point over, all of the water going over there, dripping down on the steps. Now granted, I did seal all the steps. I did float them and have everything go down at an angle. But then I've got water continually going down these stairs every time it rains on top of this deck. No, I didn't want that. I wanted the water to come out this way. Okay, so I think when all's said and done, I did the best I could with the conditions that I had. Now see, this water is just always going to stay here. If I were to leave this water just setting like this, probably take, with good weather, it'd probably take a week or more for this water to dry. And in the winter, it's going to be nice and cold, isn't it? And so it's gonna set here for a while, isn't it? Underneath these tiles. Shh, dabbity nabbit. That's the thing I didn't want. But hey, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. Nothing. I want you to learn from the guys who built this. I want you to learn from their mistakes. I tried the best I could to get this angled out there, and it just wasn't good enough. I just couldn't do it. I would have had to shave that down, that entire wall. Jeez, how could I have done that? I just don't know. It would have been a while to fix that. I don't know if I could have fixed. I guess I could have. I would have had to have chiseled down the whole top of that wall further. And as it was, I chiseled from there to about there, and then to make this so that there wasn't a bump there. Because you can see where the flashing is below this floor. See, it's up high there. I didn't care about there, but down here I didn't want that. So I chiseled that down, and that flashing goes all the way through here. And so see, this is nice and flat. There's no boom boom right in there like this. I didn't care about that because I wanted that water to go this direction more so than it is. But hey, guess it's just not happening. I just don't know how else I could have done that. And at this point, yeah, if I built that up higher, it's just gonna keep this water over here from going this direction, and then it's gonna puddle up right along this column and right in this corner instead of this corner, you know. So I just don't think I could have. I don't know. I don't think I could have done anything. It's kind of discouraging. Very discouraging. Yeah. Psych. This is fine to there. I can't do anything with that. And see, I don't really think I want to put any fix-it-all on top of that and try to float that out that way, and then put more of this flooring material on there. The fix-it-all might not stick to this. I just don't know how to do that any different. See, my mind's already thinking, okay, do I put fix-all there and try to float that out, get it dry, let it stick, rebuild that up, pour some water on it, see how it's gonna angle out there. to get, maybe I have to get my level out. I'll get my level out here and just do a once over and see if there's anything I can do with that. I just don't think there is, though, at this point. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos.